about 2 weeks, and my match was true. It was amazing.
Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Magdalen.
And so we both went to college with Amy, and we lived together in New York after graduation. Amy did like to introduce us as one person, Mary Magdalen. Just one name to remember. It was really easy. The simplest. So we decided it'd be appropriate to tell you a little bit about college, Amy.
So you all know Amy is endlessly thoughtful. She's a rock. She's a cheerleader, and she's also a great enabler. So we want to start telling about Amy the enabler. So I first saw this side of Amy on a trip we took to Amsterdam, where we really cemented our friendship. But then later, I saw it when she brought me beers on Saturday mornings to wake me up. This morning, she brought me coffee, so things have changed a little bit. She took me to my first frat party, when we went to Mexico together, and she convinced me to drink something out of a vat in a market, which had terrible results. And then we were always the only two people on the bus coming back to Wellesley on Friday mornings.
Were you there?
Also,
Just hang out.
and also, I think she taught me to make a cocktail with Bacardi 151 before I knew what her name was.
But back to Amsterdam. The first thing you should know is that Amy, Magdalen, and I were very serious Model UNers. Early on in our friendship, when Amy and I were already roommates, but Magdalen was a first year and somewhat of an unknown quantity, we decided to test the limits of our friendship by going to this Model UN conference in this Dutch town that none of us had ever heard of before. We knew this trip was starting off on the right foot when at the airport over the loudspeaker we heard them talk about an unidentified suitcase just before the bomb squad took away Amy's luggage. And more consequentially, because our flight was severely delayed, by the time we got to Amsterdam, we knew that we were going to miss the first day of a 2-day conference.
So obviously on the airplane, we're thinking it doesn't really make sense to go to this conference outside of Amsterdam in a town like we don't even know what this Dutch village is. So, but Amy and Mary didn't know me that well, and I didn't really know them that well, so no one really wanted to bring it up. But we get to the airport lobby in Amsterdam, and I blame Amy, because this is about her. She's probably to blame anyway. But instead of looking up trains to the village, we started looking up hotels in Amsterdam. So this is where the story of 3 college girls in Amsterdam for 24 hours should get crazy or should be severely edited. But actually, enabler Amy is just as sleepy as regular Amy. So what we did was we went to the Rijksmuseum. Amy had her passport strapped to her body, but she lost it anyway. So we had to go looking for her passport. We ate some waffles, and we took a nap, and then we went home.
Speaking of naps, before we get into Amy's other great qualities, we wanted to quickly talk about Amy as a sloth. Now, we all know that Amy is super hardworking, but we also know that sloths are her favorite animal. And so we thought it'd be nice to acknowledge some of the ways in which she and sloths are very similar.
So first, sloths love to sleep, and Amy loves to sleep. On our 21st birthdays, which our birthdays fall around the same time every year, we decided that we wanted to do something exciting. So obviously Vegas is the obvious answer. But as Amy tells it, we realized that the first night maybe we would go out, and the second night we would order room service and go to bed at 10. So the three of us went to Napa and went wine tasting.
Sloths also have a better sense of smell than most humans do, and so does Amy. This one time I sprayed perfume from the other side of the room, and it literally woke Amy up.
Also, sloths love to eat leaves and twigs, and Amy also loves to eat.
And finally, sloths have claws that they can use for defense, and so does Amy. Amy will stop at nothing to protect her friends. This one time I found myself in the Frankfurt airport for 24 hours, and I was going through a bad breakup, and Amy, literally right after the email, she was like looking up flights to go and see if she could catch me during my layover in Frankfurt. And in fact, Amy's so reliable that she is the first person my mom calls whenever she can't reach me, and it's happened way more often than it should.
And likewise, I was having a bad week at Wellesley after Amy had graduated. And I called her and I was telling her about my week, and before I knew it, she had left work and she'd gotten someone else to leave work, and they were both on a bus to Boston to rush to my rescue.
Not only is Amy super supportive, but she's also a great cheerleader. She's the person that I turn to whenever I have crazy ideas, and they can be as radical as, should I move to Tanzania? Or as mundane as, like, should we have our friends over for brunch once a month? And Amy has not only been supportive in her words, but also in her actions. And she's never held it against me that I'm not nearly as talented as she is. After all, it was Amy who ended up cooking most of the meals for this said brunch.
So basically, we're saying that Amy is the most thoughtful person that we know. And we're not saying that it's all related to food. But also, I have another story, which is every year on my birthday, she's like does something elaborate, practicing for Drew, I guess. So she makes like elaborate miniaturized versions of my favorite foods, and she invented this cake based on her dislike of cake and our mutual love of White Russians. So that's my favorite cake. And every year, Amy's hard to keep up with. So every year on her birthday, I like try to reciprocate, and I send her a text. Every year. But Drew, when you sent out the email inviting me to a surprise crawfish broil graduation party for Amy, I knew that she'd met her match.
Drew, we know firsthand that Amy is a wonderful friend and partner, and she makes both of us feel like we need to strive to be better friends. Hang on. like that moment. We always hoped that one day she would find someone who could truly reciprocate her thoughtfulness, though we doubted it was possible. Magdalen and I are still struggling to keep up. I don't know if you remember that time that you planned a surprise engagement party for Amy in a foreign country, and I tried to sneak into my hotel room, and then I met both of you 2 hours early in the elevator.
And then she tried to pretend it hadn't happened by ducking behind a potted plant.
So, I'm still very much a work in progress. But, in the time that we've gotten to know you, we've seen just how thoughtful and supportive you are, and how great of a care you take for our Amy. So we're really glad that she found you.
Amy and Drew.
Amy and
Cheers.
Cheers.